The U.S. State Department announced on Wednesday that Cuba is not included in its 2023 report on countries that do not cooperate in the fight against terrorism. However, it does not remove the Caribbean nation from the list of countries sponsoring terrorism. The document says that the State Department has determined the circumstances for certifying Cuba as a country that does not fully cooperate with anti-terrorism efforts have changed from 2022 to 2023, and therefore the agency does not designate it as such in the calendar year 2023. Nevertheless, the agency also argues that its report is not sufficient to remove Cuba from the list of countries sponsoring terrorism, arguing that such designation is subjected to law and criteria established by Congress. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel denounced on Wednesday that since the inclusion of the Caribbean nation in the U.S. list of countries that allegedly support terrorism, the blockade has intensified. The statement was made during an interview with a Spanish-French journalist, Ignacio Ramonet.
Today, the blockade has a qualitative different characteristic. Today, we're talking about a tightened blockade, which has additionally been reinforced by another factor, which is the inclusion of Cuba in a spurious list determined at will by the United States government of countries that supposedly sponsor terrorism.
In another part of the interview, the Cuban president stressed that the Cuban people have developed a capacity to resist the U.S. blockade that has allowed it to move on as a nation.
Cuba has never stood idly by. We have developed a capacity for resistance. I would even say, after the experiences we had with COVID-19, that it's a creative resistance, because the country has not only been able to resist the onslaught of the blockade, but in these conditions, it has moved on, it has contributed, it has grown as a nation, and it has also developed. In other words, it is not just resisting and not doing anything.